Just imagine this for a second. The price of gold could hit $120,000 per kilo by the end of this year. And while the rest of the world is just watching, Captain Traore isn't sitting idly, seizing the moment. Where others see a rising chart, he sees a golden opportunity. Because when wealth is buried beneath the soil, the wise don't wait, they act. And Traore, he's not digging for himself. He's laying the foundation for a new future for his people. What if I told you that one of the world's poorest countries, long dismissed, often overlooked, just pulled off a billion-dollar economic move that left even seasoned analysts stunned? Welcome to Burkina Faso, a landlocked West African nation that's quietly rewritten the playbook on natural resource management. In just 3 months, it generated a staggering $1.1 billion in gold revenue. No loud headlines, no Western praise, just quiet, calculated leadership transforming a nation from the inside out. And at the center of it all, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a young revolutionary leader, not waiting for permission from old powers. Instead, he's reclaiming what belongs to his people and using it to craft a bold new future. Let's start with some numbers. In 2025 alone, gold prices have surged over 27%, and we're only halfway through the year. Analysts predict that, by year's end, gold could hit $120,000 per kilo. Where some saw rising charts, Captain Traoré saw a window of opportunity and he took it. Rather than sitting on the sidelines, he dove in. And Burkina Faso, it didn't just play the game, it changed the rules entirely. Since June 12, the government has fully taken over 5 mining companies it had been targeting since last August. 2 were actively operational Wakon Gold SA and Samafu Bongo SA in previously. Burkina Faso held a meager 10% stake in each. Today, 100% ownership. The remaining 3 were exploration ventures licenses revoked and handed back to the state. This isn't just nationalization, it's economic reawakening. This billion-dollar turnaround wasn't a fluke. It was the result of bold policies and a rejection of outdated colonial-era agreements that once allowed foreign corporations to walk off with Africa's riches. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré assumed power, Burkina Faso's mining sector was a dark maze of foreign contracts, underpaid labor, and untracked exports. Profits flowed not into the country's development, but into offshore accounts and European bank vaults. But Traoré wasn't having it. He rewrote mining laws, demanded reinvestment inside Burkina Faso, and cracked down on smuggling and underreporting. Shadowy intermediaries gone. Exploitative contracts cancelled. For the first time in decades, local mining cooperatives received the right to mine legally, and their profits are now staying home. This isn't just about mining gold, this is about mining dignity. The first few hundred kilograms of gold now, produced under Burkina Faso's control, aren't just bars of metal, they are symbols of sovereignty. Since Traoré took the reins, several European mining firms that had operated with impunity have been kicked out. In their place, Burkina Faso are managing, mining, and marketing their own resources. And the world, it's taking notice. At just 36 years old, Traoré is now Africa's youngest president and one of its most fearless. He's pouring gold revenue into key sectors like agriculture, real estate, and infrastructure. He's taking back what generations lost and using it to build something new. Of course, not everyone's pleased. More than 20 assassination attempts have reportedly been made on his life. That's the price of shaking the system. But he continues undaunted, determined, and deeply aware of the weight of history on his shoulders. Many compare him to Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's iconic revolutionary leader of the 1980s, who championed Pan-Africanism and self-reliance before being assassinated. Today, Traoré is often seen as Sankara's spiritual successor, a legacy built not on Western dependence, but on African pride. What sets Traoré apart is how he's leveraging gold as a tool for independence, not just income. Gold revenue is no longer a whisper in offshore boardrooms. It's now a battle cry for a self-reliant future. Where previous leaders bowed to international pressure and vague promises of aid, Traoré is using Burkina Faso's wealth to fund local roads, build schools, and create jobs that make Burkina youth think twice before boarding a boat to Europe. 2 Western analysts, the $1.1 billion surge was unexpected. How could a poor, unstable West African country outperform projections by such a huge margin? Because they misunderstood the strategy. Captain Traoré saw gold not as a product to be exported, but as leverage to fund solar grids, transport systems, and rural development. And while international critics fretted over transparency in governance, the gold kept flowing into Burkina Faso, not Swiss vaults. This isn't a fairy tale. It's what happens when a leader puts people before politics. For centuries, Africa's wealth has slipped through the cracks thanks to one word: middlemen, brokers, smugglers. But not anymore. Captain Traoré's administration declared war on this system. He created a national gold registry, enforced strict export controls, and eliminated backdoor dealings. Every ounce is now tracked, taxed, and tallied. Gone are the days of secret winds and unmarked jets flying gold to Europe. Today, Burkina gold is accounted for, processed locally, and used for the benefit of its people. This new model prioritizes in-country refining, ending the outdated cycle of exporting raw gold only to import it back at inflated prices. It's smart, it's sustainable, it's self-reliant economics in action. But perhaps the most revolutionary part of this new system, the decentralization of gold revenue. Instead of hoarding it at the top, the government channels funds directly to regional development councils. That means money is showing up not just in government spreadsheets but in rural schools, village clinics, clean water pumps, and farm subsidies. This is wealth that moves through the veins of the nation, not just its elites. By prioritizing local empowerment, Traore has ensured that Burkina Faso's gold stays golden, creating value not only in global markets, but on the ground where it matters most. What Burkina Faso has achieved in just 3 months is more than a financial win. It's a proof of concept that African nations don't need to beg, borrow, or wait for permission to thrive. They only need the will to take back control. Captain Ibrahim Traoré isn't just rewriting Burkina Faso's future. He's sending a message to the continent that with the right leadership, Africa can stand tall, own its wealth, and chart its own destiny. $1.1 billion in gold revenue isn't just an economic headline. It's a revolution wrapped in gold. And this is just the beginning. In a country once known more for poverty than prosperity, something extraordinary is happening. In dusty towns, where roads were once nothing more than hardened earth, fresh asphalt now stretches toward the horizon. Maternity clinics hum with electricity. School children click away on laptops instead of scratching lessons onto chalkboards. This isn't fantasy, it's the impact of real money doing real things for real people. That money, $1.1 billion in gold revenue, generated in just 3 months. But in Burkina Faso, it's not just numbers in a spreadsheet, it's a revolution. The government has introduced a new program called Mine to Market, which ensures that communities living near gold sites don't just watch the trucks roll by, they benefit directly. Villages now receive equity dividends from local production. So, when gold is pulled from the ground, the nearby community feels the ripple. For many, it's the first time natural wealth has meant a tangible payday. It's bold, it's fair, and it's working. This isn't gold as a global commodity. It's gold as a school lunch, gold as a scholarship, gold as a generator in a rural health center. Western critics scoff and label it populism. But President Ibrahim Traoré calls it something else, justice. And that's the difference. Burkina Faso is no longer hoarding wealth for elites, it's transforming it into dignity for the people. And that's exactly what the West never saw coming. For too long, the world assumed that African leaders would steal, stash, and surrender. But not Traoré. Under his leadership, the billions now flowing through Burkina Faso's gold sector are no longer diverted, they're distributed. And for the first time in a long time, the people are no longer begging, they're building. For decades, Burkina Faso sat on a mountain of wealth while extending a hand for aid. Gold glinted beneath the soil, yet international loans was suffocating. Terms dictated its future. Not anymore. With $1.1 billion in gold revenue now banked in just a quarter, the country is rewriting the rules. No more flying to Paris with hat in hand. No more waiting for Washington to approve a budget plan. Burkina Faso is now self-financing its priorities with its own gold. That means infrastructure projects are breaking ground without IMF advice. Defense strategies are drawn up without foreign strings. The country is investing in agritech hubs, engineering schools, and local innovation incubators, not with borrowed money, but with gold-backed certainty. And that shift is making some very powerful people very nervous. Because if Burkina Faso can do it, so can Mali. So can Niger. So can every resource-rich nation on the continent that has spent decades poor in wealth and voiceless in negotiations. What Traoré has done is more than just make Burkina richer. He's proven that gold isn't a curse, it's a card to play, a lever to pull, a future to claim. The $1.1 billion revenue figure isn't just a headline, it's a battering ram. A wedge driven straight into the heart of neocolonial dependency. It's proof that sovereignty doesn't have to be aspirational, it can be operational. Burkina Faso now holds gold-backed reserves, is forming regional economic partnerships, and has launched an investment authority run by economists, not politicians. The country's financial ecosystem is becoming indigenous, transparent, and accountable, a rarity in post-colonial Africa. That's what real power looks like. And it's no accident. When the gold started flowing, Traoré didn't throw a parade, he ordered an audit. Every mine, every royalty, every contract was dragged into the light. The findings, staggering. For decades, ghost mines operated without oversight, scales were rigged, and unreported exports robbed the nation blind. Instead of hiding the truth, Traoré exposed it. He dismissed senior officials, blacklisted corrupt foreign firms, and even jailed high-profile smugglers. It wasn't political theater, it was a line in the sand. The gold, he declared, belongs to the people now. And suddenly, the leaks stopped. The money started flowing like it always should have. Traoré's administration also rolled out a national gold transparency portal. Every ounce produced, every export logged, every franc received, you can see it online. In real time, corruption didn't just become harder, it became impossible to hide. Foreign firms, now they must partner with locals, pass labor audits, and reinvest profits within the community. The game has changed, and the people know it. Western media once painted Burkina Faso as a nation on the brink, chaotic, unstable, teetering under the weight of coups and crises. But then came the $1.1 billion gold revenue, and suddenly, those op-eds grew quiet. No one could explain how this failing state pulled off one of the most dramatic financial recoveries in Africa's recent history. But Traoré didn't just prove them wrong, he backed it with receipts. Press conferences showcased new infrastructure. Monthly mining reports were released publicly. Development projects were filmed, funded, and functioning, all paid for with gold. This wasn't public relations, it was proof of life and of leadership. Western think tanks scrambled to revise their forecasts. Investment banks started paying attention. And while international media hesitated to admit it, Africa was watching closely. Burkina Faso wasn't collapsing, it was recalibrating. But Traoré knows this isn't just about gold, it's about generations. Every ounce of wealth extracted is now matched with an ounce of hope invested. Thousands of young Burkinab are enrolling in mining tech schools, geology departments, and engineering programs, all fully funded by gold profits. This isn't just capacity building, it's identity. Traoré has launched the Gold to Growth initiative, mandating that a percentage of all national mining revenue go directly into youth entrepreneurship funds, agriculture accelerators, and local innovation labs. Most nations treat youth as a problem to manage. Burkina Faso treats them as the point of it all. Even mining licenses now require companies to train locals, offer internships, and build community training centers. That's not just economic strategy, it's social transformation, jobs, skills, pride, a future. So here we are. The world expected Burkina Faso to collapse under the weight of its history. Instead, it stood up taller than ever. $1.1 billion in gold revenue wasn't just a financial milestone, it was a statement that the old rules no longer apply, that Burkinab hands can mine Burkinab gold for Burkinab futures. No more pity, no more projections, just progress. And it's just the beginning. Something remarkable is unfolding in Burkina Faso. In the heart of Ouagadougou, children aren't just playing there, dreaming bigger than ever before. They talk about building drones, writing code, and launching startups. Not just surviving, but creating. That's the kind of shift that happens when a nation treats gold not as a shiny export, but as a springboard for imagination. President Ibrahim Traoré understands this power. He's not treating gold as a forever strategy, but as a launchpad for what comes next. His focus isn't on digging forever, it's on what the digging makes possible. Because for him, Burkina Faso isn't just cashing in on its natural wealth, it's cashing forward. With $1.1 billion in gold revenue already secured in just one quarter, Traoré isn't slowing down. He's thinking bigger. Conversations are already underway with neighboring Mali and Niger to establish a gold-backed trade bloc. The idea, trade using shared gold reserves, not foreign currencies. This is no small proposal. If successful, it could weaken reliance on the CFA franc, combat inflation, and give West African nations genuine leverage on the global stage. It's bold, it's disruptive, and it's long overdue. But Traoré isn't just thinking across borders. At home, a major transformation is already in motion. Plans are progressing to construct Burkina Faso's first large-scale gold refinery, project that will finally end the long-standing practice of shipping out raw or only to buy it back processed at higher prices. This time, Burkina will own the full value chain from the mine to the market. That's how a billion-dollar resource becomes a $10 billion industry. The vision doesn't stop at refining. Traoré is using gold revenue as seed money to diversify the economy, investing in renewable energy, local manufacturing, and even cultural tourism in historic mining towns. This is more than a gold rush, it's a gold strategy. Designed to last, built for scale, rooted in sovereignty. For the West, it's a curveball. For Africa, it's a blueprint. Ibrahim Traoré has done something few thought possible. He's shown that with vision, courage, and control. Africa's natural resources don't have to be a curse, they can be a foundation for national power. Burkina Faso has already flipped the script. $1.1 billion in one quarter, and not a single cent wasted. That's not just success, that's a signal to the world. But this is just the opening act. The bigger question now looms: will this gold-fueled momentum turn into long-term development or trigger new waves of foreign interest? And will other African nations follow Traoré's playbook of such reliance? One thing is certain: Faso is no longer waiting for history to be written for it. It's writing it now. If you're as inspired as we are, hit that like button, subscribe for more game-changing updates from Africa, and drop a comment below. Is Burkina Faso rewriting the rules of African wealth? Because ready or not, history is happening right now.